You may have fallen with Satoru Gojo, but does that mean your story is done? What's up, guys? All Pencil here, and here we are to do a quick discussion on whether or not the Six Eyes should make a return to the narrative. And note, I specifically say the Six Eyes, not Satoru Gojo. Satoru Gojo is unfortunately going to be a much longer video on his hypothetical return, why I think he should, why I think he shouldn't. I may split that into two videos. I still remember that one 4 nights thing I did. Still, it's funny, this thing. But with that being the case, Satoru Gojo is his own head case, his own video case where you have to talk ad infinitum about that man in terms of his return, whether or not it should happen. I don't think it should. I don't think it will, but all the different reasons. It's still a very prominent discussion in the community, but the main thing I want to tackle is the Six Eyes themselves. But of course, you may be wondering why, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. What's up, guys? Talking Pencil here. Fun fact, I do have a pencil, and it's blue, like the Six Eyes. And you know what I also happen to have? I have it on me. I keep it on me at all times, but unfortunately this one isn't blue like the Six Eyes, but at least my shirt is. But with that being the case, the Six Eyes. Notably, a lot of people have mixed opinions on the Six Eyes as a whole. In my opinion, they're very, very broken. We'll make a whole video talking about the Six Eyes on their own as like an independent power mechanic, though I will be glazing them a little bit in this video, and you'll see why I have such a high opinion of the Six Eyes. But we gotta remember, right? It is not the Gojo clan in particular that is the one that has been essentially supporting fate on its back for the past who knows how many thousands of years. It's not, well, not thousands, but at least like the past 1,000 years. It's not the Limitless wielder that has been the one to pull up against Big Papa Jaku and smack him down every single time the merger came. It's not even the Limitless that really made Satoru Gojo one of the mightiest characters for the longest time. At least it wasn't Limitless alone. Remember, it was the Six Eyes. The Six Eyes, or the Guardians of Fate, if you will. Notably, they were tied in an ever-locking battle between 4 parties. It would be the Six Eyes, Tengen, Kenjaku, and the Star Plasma Vessel. Unfortunately, as far as we know, all Star Plasma Vessels are not doing too well. One turned into a black hole, the other one got popped through the head, and while there may be others, at least that's what's loosely implied by Yuki and Tengen's conversation, it's way too late for that. Tengen has stabilized, but ultimately their evolution can no longer be stopped. A Star Plasma Vessel being introduced in the narrative this late is pretty much irrelevant. For, obviously, Tengen, well, Kenjaku's head is on the ground, so maybe, I mean a fat, hefty maybe, they could be fine, or they could start the merger anyway. So Tengen also kind of sort of a lost cause. And Kenjaku, once again, head on the ground, built like a soccer ball right now. Bro's kind of looking rough, but I still have faith in Big Papa Kenny, you know? Until it's absolutely confirmed that that man is gone, I'm gonna have faith. But the final variable in this destiny equation is the Six Eyes. And of course, if you're wondering, yeah, don't worry, I know Satoru Gojo is currently in half. Technically, he's in 3 pieces. Like, I think there's like his arm is on one spot, then the rest of his upper torso is on another spot, and then his lower half is just laid. Actually, is it still standing? We never got to see that. I wonder if it's fallen over yet. Is it just locked in like super rigor mortis? But with that being the case, Satoru Gojo's gone. And whether or not I think he should resurrect, I don't think it necessarily matters because the Six Eyes are the main thing. The Six Eyes are the Guardians of Fate. And of course, thanks to tojifushiguro, fate has been broken. Fate has been shattered. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't try, right? But of course, the question with the Six Eyes returning is, well, what would they return for? Obviously, Tengen's already a lost cause. Obviously, Kenny may be cooked already. So what would they return for? Well, I think it's most likely because, 1, Kenny probably isn't permanently cooked. 2, the murder still hasn't happened yet and still needs a defender. And 3, our characters kind of desperately need someone to get the Six Eyes or any sort of buff in order to combat the current King of Curses, Ryomen Sukuna. I say current King of Curses if there's been another one. But like, that's the thing. These Six Eyes are so massively powerful because of their optimization of cursed energy, their ability to read cursed energy, and their ability to read souls. Such an ability being given to any of our casts right now would be very, very useful, especially if any of that cast happen to have RCT, or any of that cast happen to have a very high cost curse technique. But of course, the thing about the Six Eyes is that they only manifest in response to the Gojo clan. Notably, there have been no cases in history of a Zenin clan member, of a Kamo clan member, of a Inumaki clan member, of any of the other clans manifesting these Six Eyes. So it very specifically have to be a Gojo clan member. But another thing about that is we don't exactly know how the Six Eyes incarnate. Notably, we do know for a fact that Kenny in the past, Chad walked up to a poor random six-eyes baby and just smacked him. But then Tengen also confirms later on within that very same mention that, oh yeah, on the day of the merger, well, the six-eyes kind of just appeared. We don't know if they appeared in that same baby that Kenny supposedly got rid of. We don't know if they appeared in a random Gojo clan member. We don't know if they just appeared floating and, like, I don't know, pulled like a Super Vegeta when he was turned into candy, just burst straight through Kenjaku's body and made him pass out. We have no idea. But going with the assumption that the six eyes are like respawnable very, very quickly in order to once again combat fate, be sort of the last bastion against the walls of fate breaking down and ultimately shattering and sacrificing the entire Jujutsu world, we would need someone to reincarnate them into. Now, of course, the easiest option, I will admit, is just bringing back Gojo, though that goes into a whole nother discussion in and of itself. But I don't, well, actually, there's a certain idea I've had, but that's once again another video for another time. But I think Gojo's the easiest option, the laziest option, and the one that most people would expect if the six eyes were to make a return. And considering Gege's been very specifically, for lack of a better term, taking a little something I like to call a hammer and just shattering our ankles at every single opportunity, I don't necessarily see the six eyes returning in Satoru Gojo. Whether it be because it interrupts its character arc, whether it be because Gege is that cruel, whether it be for whatever reasons, I don't see the six eyes really returning with Satoru, especially considering, well, Satoru is in pieces. I'm not sure if the six eyes couldn't save him on the way out. I'm not sure how they'd save him on the way back in. But then that narrows down our candidates a whole lot. Unfortunately, Gege's been kind of like, I'm not even going to say kind of like, Gege's been super vague with the Gojo clan. We know nothing about them. Like, in terms of, like, how many of them exist? Does Gojo have a dad, a mom? Did he just pop into existence? We have nothing. Of course, Gojo's the only main relevant member, and obviously the Kamo clan is really only Kamo. But in terms of overall narrative importance, the Kamo clan, outside of Kenjaku, who hopped in one of their bodies one time, is mostly irrelevant. And I guess Choso, because he's technically a part of the Kamo clan because of blood manipulation, but once again, not all too relevant. But the Gojo clan, Satoru Gojo, the key to defending fate itself, I think it would make sense that it would spawn in if there were a single other Gojo clan member established who could really, really use a buff in order to make sure that they can actively combat Ryomen Sukun. Wait a minute. What was that mention from JJK0? Who is the main character of JJK0 related? Oh, so of course, with our lack of information on the mainline Gojo clan being just ever prevalent, we have no idea about the nature, background, history, anything of what that clan's doing right now, or how they even responded to Satoru's execution, since presumably they were also watching the battle. Then that kind of cuts them out without just making up a character. And sure, I've seen many amazing fandom creations of a Satoru Gojo sibling, a Satoru Gojo father, mother, whichever. But once again, those are simply fan creations. Going with what's established in the manga itself, we don't have another Gojo clan member. Except we do have one that's a very far offshoot. Very, very distant offshoot, but still ultimately a Gojo clan member, and one that is kind of already doing the job of protecting fate in their own fancy little way, shape, and form. And obviously, the man I'm referring to is Yuta Okkotsu. Now, you may be wondering, Pencil Man, ain't you the same person who's low-key hoping Yuta gets possessed? And to that I say, yes I am. But for this, I actually would be very interested to see it. Because at least in my opinion, I've talked about this before, I may talk about it again. Ryomen Sukun is a little bit too strong right now. Just a teeny tiny little bit. Just a teeny tiny little bit. And even with Yuta Okkotsu being the second to Satoru Gojo and unusual abilities and what now just appears to be raw strength, considering he kenjaku in base, no problem. I kinda am running out of options in terms of people who could actually compete with Sukune, because there literally are no more options. But if we were to give Yuta Okkotsu the buff of the six eyes, I think it could go crazy. Because what's the main thing that Yuta seems to lack at the moment? It seems to be that connection to Rika. 5 minutes, while usually is long enough for whatever Yuta really needs it for. And unmanifested Rika is solid enough on her own. Can you imagine if Yuta Okkotsu just poof that time limit out of existence? Of course, a lot of people are maybe assuming he'd do that through some sort of binding vow, or way to sacrifice his life in order to defeat Ryomen Sukuna. But wouldn't it be oh so interesting if when Yuta Okkotsu reappeared, it was not with stitches lining his forehead, but rather a glowing splendor, two azure eyes that lock upon the king. And ultimately, Sukuna realizes that no, it isn't Satoru Gojo resurrected, but it's the blessed child, he who was underestimated, who came forth to stand against him. And honestly, I think it would be a good way to jump Yuta up based on things that are already established. Because once again, I do think that Yuta is going to be a major part in Sukuna's defeat, but I also don't think he can do it alone. I think he is going to need help. And don't get me wrong, Choso, buddy, you're a real nice idea, pal. Ino, I like your spirit. Kusakabe, I'm glad you showed up to work. But in terms of like actual genuine powerhouses, even Akari Kinji and Maki Zenin made no, well, I'm not going to say may, they are not enough to deal with the monster that is Ryomen Sukuna. But if you were to take Yuta Okkotsu, someone who may or may not already have some sort of off-screen understanding of the Limitless, someone who may have an understanding of who knows how many curse techniques, from Idol Transfiguration to Angel's curse technique to who knows what else the series has to offer, maybe even Sukuna slashes themselves. Imagine all that infused with the six eyes, the ability to perfectly regulate and manipulate curse energy so efficiently that the cost is basically zero. The freedom and flexibility that could be allowed by a Yuta Okkotsu blessed with the six eyes would be unbelievable. And ultimately, it's why I would want them to return. Because the six eyes being a mechanic to guard fate is so interesting to me. And seeing that mechanic sort of be torn to the side just because Satoru Gojo lost, a little bit boring. But seeing them resurrect and be a major part in the downfall of Ryomen Sukuna, that would be oh so interesting, at least to me. But what do you guys think? Do you guys want the six eyes to return? Do you want them to return in Yuta? Do you want them to return in Gojo? Do you want them to return in anyone at all? Or do you want them to simply stay gone with Satoru himself? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave I6. Like literally I6 or like eyes 6, just 6 eyes backwards in the comment section and down below. And thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month, get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Naga the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Connor Plays, Redwell 4765, and Greyhound. I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, Demex LND, and Igneal. I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchio, Joaquin, Idem Okami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a thicker than a snicker thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another thicker than a frozen jar of peanut butter thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.